Once again, my name is Terry Denny. I work with Northern Lakes College, Academic Upgrading Coordinator. And Rachel Oak, also Academic Upgrading Coordinator, is joining me this evening for this presentation. I want to welcome you. We appreciate and value your attendance and time this evening. This is recorded, so please note this is a recorded session. So anything you say or type in the chat will be recorded. So without further ado, I will allow Rachel, you may begin the sessions. Next slide.
Thank you so much, Terry. Okay, what is academic upgrading? Academic upgrading refers to the courses in Northern Lakes College's adult basic education and adult high school level programs. So if you have taken courses in the past, or you've looked in the course calendar online, checked out courses, you may see some courses that start with BEL. That stands for basic education level. And those courses are the ones that go along with the basic education, the adult basic education level that's listed here. It's common for students to be missing some required courses, some prerequisites to enter career programming or to get into university, that kind of thing. So academic upgrading is designed to help adults take those missing courses and help them move forward with their education and career goals. So for example, if you'd like to become a paramedic, you would need credits in biology 30, which you need a minimum of 60%, English 30-2, you need 70%, and math 20-2 is listed as 60%. Campus instructors, coordinators, and program administrators will help you map out a path for from where you are now academically to meet all the requirements of your career goal to get you into the program you want to get into. Okay, so you will do what is called an education plan or a completion plan. Carrie, could you move on, please? So how do I get started? Step one, you need to apply online, and you can go to Northern Lakes College website, which is www.northernlakescollege.ca. On that site, you'll answer some questions, you'll submit your transcripts, so please reach out to the government agency or the school that would have your transcripts, whichever ones you need, and then make sure you have those ready to submit. This program, the Academic Upgrading Program, is all about access, and very few applicants will be denied. Okay, so it's a great way for you to work towards building a better future for yourself. Step number two, your transcript will be reviewed, and if necessary, you'll be asked to complete a placement test. This test is called an AccuPlacer, and the test helps us advise you as to what level course would make sense as the place where you start. So as an adult, it's important for you to know that you have a role to play in the decision as to where you want to begin your studies. Okay, it's different than if you were 18 or under and you kind of had to follow along as to the rules that were given to you. Okay, step number three, meet in person or online with a campus instructor or an academic upgrading coordinator such as Terry or me, or an academic upgrading program administrator who will talk with you about your education and career goals, the expectations and time commitments of the program, and help you register for your classes. This is done through that process I mentioned earlier, the completion plan. Next slide, please, Terry. Career program transitions. So if you do your upgrading or get the courses that you need to move on to programs, some of your options include becoming a licensed practical nurse. You can go into things such as carpentry, welding, and becoming an electrician. You can take a bachelor's degree program in partnership with the University of Calgary. There is a Bachelor of Social Work degree in partnership with the University of Calgary. There is a primary care and advanced care paramedic program. There's an early learning and childcare, known as the ELCC, and the Education Assistant, the EA program. Finally, the Business and Office Administration Diploma and Certificate program includes the Computer Network Specialist program. So those are some of the options that are available for you right in-house. Basic information on the AU program. How long is the program? The program length really depends on the individual. It depends on what course level you decide to start at and what your career goal is. For example, someone who is at a grade 11 level and requires grade 12 level credits will be in the program for as little as 1 semester, which is about 5 months. So what are prerequisites? To get into academic upgrading, the general rule is that you need to have a grade 4 level academic equivalency. That is for basic admission. Some programs, some courses may need you to have other prerequisites on top of it. For instance, in math, because it is so sequential, to get into a grade 12 math program or class, it would be strongly recommended that you do the grades before that, so you have the foundational knowledge to help you be successful. What can you expect to learn or do in the program? We use the Alberta Education Curriculum, and NLC is licensed to award Alberta Education credits. This means credits are internationally recognized by other post-secondary institutions. So you're not getting exactly a high school diploma, but you are getting an equivalent high school diploma if you finish doing that at Northern Lakes College. Now, some programs that you may want to apply to don't necessarily need a diploma to get into them. They may have specific requirements, and as an adult educator, as an adult education student, you just have to complete those and then can potentially get into some of the programs available.
Well, thank you so much, Rachel, for the first half of the presentation.
Thank you.
Great job. So, folks, what is the delivery model we use? Well, everything we do in AU is online. We use a platform called D2L, Brightspace. D2L means desire to learn. So Brightspace D2L is called our learner management system, okay? We want to make it clear because sometimes students believe it's asynchronous, where they can kind of go in anytime, like at 3 o'clock in the morning and wear their pajamas and do it asynchronously, like udemy.com. There are several platforms that deliver asynchronous programming where it can be done basically anytime, because their programming is basically videos and recordings, and you can play them anytime at your leisure convenience. We have live synchronous online classes in AU, and every day there's a class or classes for learners. The classes are broken into 80-minute periods or sections, and it's 3 times each week, okay? You will get courses that are 2 80-minute periods a week as well, but typically it's 3 times a week. It could be 2. It depends on the course, okay? But it is a live program, and it's very important that students understand that. It's a synchronous program. So what are the costs of this program? Well, it is about $1,000 now for one 5-credit course, if you see the details. There is, we'll talk more about that later, but there is a fee schedule that we'll show you later, or at next slide, which gives you the breakdown. But roughly speaking, it's about $1,000 for your typical 5-credit high school course. There's also 5-credit Bell level courses as well. And again, the cost structure is the same. How about your funding sources? If you want to go to academic upgrading with Northern Lakes College, you do have a few options. You can get what is called Foundational Learning Assistance Program funding, or FLAP. And of course, that's through the province of Alberta. It is limited to residents of Alberta. So if you're a resident of Alberta, you live in Alberta, you have an Alberta address, excuse me, you have residency in the province, you're eligible for foundational learning assistance dollars. If you're outside the province, unfortunately, you cannot avail of that funding. So you have to be in the province of Alberta. If you are First Nations, Métis, Inuit, you may be able to get some funding from your First Nation band, your Métis Nation. It's not often. Sometimes we might get Inuit learners from NWT, Nunavut, but most of the time it's First Nations, Métis students. You may be able to get funding from your band or Métis Nation. So if you're interested in that, you'd have to reach out to your First Nation band or your Métis Nation or your Indigenous organization for support. We don't broker or mediate that process. It's something the student has to do on their own, but we're certainly willing to give advice. But at the end of the day, learners have to engage their organization. Excuse me. With FLAP, it's a little different. I should have mentioned this. With FLAP funding, when we do your completion plan and we decide to gather your enrollments, we will indicate in your application or your completion plan, that you are looking for, you're eligible for FLAP funding. So you will be flagged in our system, so to speak, to be eligible for foundational learning support. And we do have a couple of ladies in our college that would help you with that funding knowledge and information. They can help you with that. And once you're accepted into the program and you have your enrollments, we can steer you in the direction of funding support and information from there's a couple ladies, Odessa and Sharon. Community Adult Learning Program is CALP. You can also get funding through that program. It does not have a living allowance, however, so that's one thing we need to point out. With your foundational learning support and your First Nations, Métis Nation support, there's that living allowance prospect. However, with community adult learning programming, it's just going to cover your books and tuition. At this point, there's no living allowance. Needless to say, a lot of our applicants want to try to get FLAP funding, community funding sources as well, which would include your First Nations, Métis Nation. This year, we'd like to say that we've had some additional dollars through the Indigenous Learning Grant, and that did help a few students to come into our program at a later time. One thing we should say about FLAP funding is that it's good to have your ed plan or completion plan done early, and you're flagged for that kind of support early because there are limited dollars from foundational learning. And of course, there's more people wanting that kind of funding than dollars available. That's the case probably for pretty much everything, right? So it's always good to apply early, get your completion plan done as early as possible, and that way you're in the head of the queue, so to speak, for the FLAP funding. So the early bird gets the worm, I guess, if you want to use that old adage. Once again, I already have discussed it. Classes for AU are $665 this year for tuition, $210 for LRF or learner resource fees. That would include your textbooks, your USB sticks, your calculators, all that. There is a detailed breakdown that we can send students, and we'll show that in the next slide. Where can you get more information about all the different programs at the college, including AU? Well, if you go to the link shown here, you will get all that different information. It's programs and courses. So if you have an internet connection, you should be able to go on northernlightscollege.ca, find programs and courses, and click, and you will get all the different information about the courses and programs offered. So why would you take programming from Northern Lights College? Well, we have been in the online business, or certainly the distance model of education, for over 50 years in Alberta. Of course, internet is relatively new, but in terms of distance learning, correspondence in the old days, the college has a history going back over 50 years doing distance education. Now, of course, it's online, it's digital, but we are a leader in distance delivery. And we have served the needs of students from Alberta, Saskatchewan, Northwest Territories. Sometimes we will see some other learners from other provinces, but principally it's mostly Western Canada. So Alberta, Saskatchewan, Northwest Territories, that's the primary group we see. Sometimes we'll see learners again outside the region, but primarily Western Canada. Any questions so far? I don't want to monopolize the whole thing. Any questions thus far? Well, we'll move on. We will have some Q&A at the end. So here's a fee schedule, and if learners need this, we can certainly give it to them. More often than not, fee payers who want to pay their own way or can pay their own way want to have a complete breakdown of the various costs. So here's an example. So let's say you want to do one course. You need to do math 20-3, for example. Well, it will be $997.50. And the breakdown would be, as mentioned before, $665 for your tuition. Your LRF will be $210. Your student association fee would be $57.50, and your technology fee is $65. So this will probably change for next year. It is subject to change, and it likely will increase a little bit next year. I can't be sure on that because I don't make those determinations. But it probably will be, my guess, a little higher next year. But again, I don't know for sure. So when you apply to the college, it's all online. So the paper-based thing is no longer the case. You have to go to the Northern Lakes College website. You have to click on Apply Now. And as Rachel has mentioned, there is no application fee this evening. So this is a quick process. It's very important that you read it, however. Select the correct answer, Canadian citizen or permanent resident. Most of our students are. Please select the right program. In your case, or in our presentation tonight, our focus is academic upgrading. And of course, you select your schedule. Are you a full-time learner, part-time learner? And let's explain that. Full-time learner would be 3 courses, okay? So if you're doing 3 courses, 3 times 5 is 15 credits. If you're part-time, let's say you're doing a couple of high school courses, 5 credits each, 10 credits. So you would be a part-time student. And we have part-time learners, we have full-time learners, and they are funded through their own means, through fee payers. Some are flat, some are Indigenous organizations. So we have quite a mix of the learners, different full-time, part-time, and different funding. Sorry about that. I think I advanced the slide. Oh, sorry. I need another coffee, folks. So there is a draw this evening for a $150 gift card to the NLC online store. And I believe at the landing page of this virtual open house, and this is the way you would have gotten in here. There's a portal, right? A virtual open house page in D2L. And I believe there is a draw. It's also on the app. Thank you so much, Rachel. So you should be able to enter, and hopefully you can win a $150 gift card. That would be great. So right now, folks, that pretty much concludes the bulk of the presentation in terms of the content information. Are there any questions right now? And maybe there's things we didn't get to. So if you have any questions, please feel free.
Hi, Terry. I just wanted to jump in. I was wondering if we should maybe mention some of the basic education level differences in terms of the credits or lack of credits. That's something we didn't touch on.
Yeah, we didn't really have much in the way on the slides, right? So I guess when you come into academic upgrading, folks, there's really two broad categories of learner. You could be ABE, Adult Basic Education, BEL, Basic Educational Level, where you have limited or no high school credits. You may be coming in with grade 9, or you might be coming in with some grade 10, but maybe it was K&E courses, knowledge and employability courses like Math 10-4, Science 24, things like that. Maybe you don't have a lot of credits from high school. You may only have grade 10 with 30 credits, 25 credits. And it's not just the credits, it's the composition of those credits. Let's say you did K&E 10-4 type of course, then more than likely, if your transcripts really don't really justify you moving into a senior high level, and your AccuPlacer, your AccuPlacer is also very important to us. We'll look at your scores. So you might be classified as a BEL learner, and you'll do BEL, you could be doing BEL 101, BEL 201, or BEL 301 level classes. And basically what they do is they give you a junior high preparation for high school level studies. So for example, BEL 301 Math, BEL 301 Communications, BEL 301 Science is really a preparation for grade 10. It's roughly equivalent to grade 9. And if you're successful in BEL 301 courses, you should be able to move into grade 10 courses, depending on your marks. For example, if you do BEL 301 Math and you only score maybe 50%, 55%, it might be better to either repeat the course if you want to go to a higher level of math in high school, or maybe you would choose a Math 10-3 when you enter the grade 10 level. It really depends on your education goal, your completion plan, and what your career goals are. If you want to be a millwright, for example, you're going to have a significant level of math and science at a higher level than someone, for example, that wants to do one of our programs like Office Admin. You won't need a Math 30-1, for example, to do Office Admin. So it depends on your career goal, your completion plan. Your BEL courses are courses that are specific to the college. They're not recognized by Alberta Education. However, your high school courses you do with us are recognized by Alberta Education. They're accredited, and you will get the same credits for a Math 10C that you do with us that you would do with any other school in Alberta. So I talked a little bit about BEL. High school is, like I mentioned, high school courses are 5 credit typically. You can do 1 credit modules like COM. There's InfoPro, which are 1 credit modules. Some students will do a string, a strand of InfoPro modules, do 5, and that'll mean they'll have to do 5 modules, right? But high school courses are offered through the college with academic upgrading, and typically they're 5 credit courses like your Math 10C, your English 10-1, your Science 10, so on and so forth. And these will be applied to your transcript. Any courses you do at the high school level will be shown on your NLC transcript. They'll also be inputted into our system, and Alberta Education will also see those because our systems are linked. We can upload through PASI your credits that you obtain through us to Alberta Education, and they'll also be indicated in your high school diploma with Alberta Ed. Any questions? And feel free to use the text chat or to use your mic.
I just have one other thought that's jumping to my mind. We had talked about the difference between part-time and full-time students. There's one scenario with the basic education level courses that is a little bit different. If you are taking a basic education levels or one of those Bell communications courses, they will be worth 10 credits, and you will have extra classes and study time each week dedicated to them. So that is a slightly different scenario.
Yes, thank you, Rachel. Yeah, like you could do at the Bell level with us, you could do a Bell 301 Communications. That's actually a 10 credit course, Bell 301 Communications. And then next to that, you can do a Bell 301 Math or a Bell 301 Science. They will be 5 credits. So you could do 15 credits by doing a Bell 301 Communications and another course like a Bell 301 Math or a Bell 301 Science. So yes, you can certainly do 15 credits at the Bell level as well. However, like I mentioned, the Bell classes, they would show up in your NLC transcript, but they won't be indicated on the Alberta Education transcript through their system. Any other questions or comments? And of course, you know, we try to give you an overview of AU in this presentation. There's probably a whole lot more we could say, a whole lot more we could add, but this gives you a basic overview of the AU program and how it works and what it can offer you. And I'd like to mention, because I did forget, there are times where learners will be able to, I've heard of it, it's not a common thing, but some learners will get some support. It's very, very rare, but they will get support from an employer. I've heard of some learners getting some support from even WCB, but it's not a common thing. Most of our learners get support through FLAP, their First Nations, Métis Nation, and then there's a third group that'll fee pay, and a lot of those learners are part-time. We like to say as well, as Rachel mentioned, there's a fall term, there's a winter term. The fall term runs from September, roughly around Labor Day. It starts till mid-January when midterms or final exams begin. And then our winter term, which is currently in session, will run to about the first week in February till the end of June. So we're usually around the 25th, 26th, the term ends. However, as you can probably imagine, there are final exams, there are diploma exams. So classes typically in AU will probably end second week in June. But the activity schedule that we use will determine that calendar.
One final thought that I have, Terry, sort of ties in with resources access. So I'm wondering if we should talk about home-based out as opposed to being attached to a campus.
Yeah. So right now, folks, most of our students, as you could probably imagine, are doing home-based learning. Even though they're doing home-based learning, there's two kind of broad categories of learner. There's a category of learner that are home-based out. They're outside of our service region. So for example, you could be in Calgary, you could be in Edmonton, you could be in Medicine Hat, what have you, right? You would be home-based out. There are other students that are attached to campuses. For example, Peace River, Slave Lake. It doesn't mean they're in the campus every day. What it means is that the campus instructor at those locations kind of supervise, manage those learners like their progress and are a support for them. So we have, for example, home-based Slave Lake students, home-based Peace River students. They're home-based. They're for sure doing coursework from home, their computer, but they're attached to a location. I guess the advantage of that would be if they need face-to-face support from their CI or their SLA, their student learning support person, they can come into a campus and get that kind of face-to-face support. They also have access to the computers, the printer, things like that. Home-based out folks who live outside the region, of course, they still can get support online with Rachel or I. They can do Teams meetings with us. They can do Teams meeting with, we have a few other folks that can help out, like tutors. We have program admin support that can have, engage with you online. But with home-based out, there's certainly a few more challenges, like you have to order your books and we have to get them shipped out to you. If you're a Bell learner, and I guess this is unique for Bell programming, if you're a Bell learner, you will get a laptop and a computer supplied to you. If you're a high school student, you will get books and resources sent out to you from our bookstore, but the computer laptop is something you will have to procure yourself. So again, Bell learners, and that would include CALP learners as well. If you're CALP funded, you're a Bell learner. So you can get a laptop, again, if you're Bell. If you're a high school student, you'll get books, hard copies of textbooks and the like, but you will be responsible for getting your own computer. You will need definitely good internet access. If you're going to do online programming, you have to have a reliable and functional internet connection. Sometimes there's issues with internet. If you do have issues with internet, you'll have to call your service provider. If you do have internet and you struggle with anything that's tech, we do have online IT support, and there's a toll-free number that you can call. Of course, you will get all that information once you start your program. Anything else?
If there are no other questions, we can sign off on this session. If you do have questions that pop up for you, please do not hesitate to reach out to Terry or me. You can phone the mainline number and ask to be transferred over to one of the academic upgrading coordinators. I see Terry is typing. Perhaps he's putting an email address or something in there. Nope, for sure. So we are happy for you to give us a call, send us an email, that kind of thing in the future if questions do come up for you. Okay, I will type mine in there as well. So Denny T at northernlakescollege.ca is for Terry, and mine is Oak R at northernlakescollege.ca. So those are ways that you can access either of us if you have questions that do pop up. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. We hope that the information we provided was helpful for you, and we do hope to see you in and around courses and hear from you in the future.
Yes, thank you everyone for attending. I did put in my Teams number as well in the chat. So if you have a paper pencil or you have your phone, you can take a photo of that. So that is my Teams number through Microsoft Teams. So 1-825-475-3715. Once again, feel free to reach out to me and Rachel. If you have any questions at all about academic upgrading, maybe there's something we didn't get to, maybe there's something we possibly missed, but feel free to reach out to us and we'll try our very best to help you with your questions. We want to say thank you so much for joining us and have a great evening. And we hope to see you in academic upgrading. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.